Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Please chime in and let me know how your health is doing. All comments are moderated to weed out, you know what, the BS and the creeps. And we only moderate those for about a day. So over on the other side of the internet, you could have free discussions at your leisure on our Patreon channel. But what's going on with the sun is a very important issue. We've posted probably 100 different scientific references, articles, links, quoted scientific references that talk about the energy in space and the energy around the sun, and all having to do with cosmic rays. Cosmic rays, not to be mistaken for as radiation, even though cosmic rays are radioactive, most of them. The entire effort has been to warn you about the dangers of the radiation produced by those cosmic rays and the impact it has on climate and what our futures look like and how we should be preparing. So when somebody comes up with a theory, opposing theory, hey, we need to strengthen our theory, so please present your evidence. But when they come up with an opposing theory and it's presented as fact, without such, even like nearly the volume and mountain of data we've provided and showed you, and instead target a non-scientific community with this type of science. Now, the lens flare anomaly started surfacing 2011. Many channels featuring all kinds of anomalies, different satellites, and different cameras. And by 2013, people stopped making lens flare anomalies, because in 3 years, whatever that object was in the sky never showed up. So people that were scientific channels had to abandon the lens anomalies, even though they were cheap and expensive and less time-consuming videos to make. I mean, somebody else sends you a picture, it's a single picture, and you do a whole 10-minute video on a single picture. Oh, you could. And so an opposing theory about something so important, so vital to your health and your life, this stuff kills people. You look up any warning and you look up the side effects and health effects of radiations, milliriems, microriems, microsieverts, millisieverts, CPMs. I mean, look it up and see exactly what the number one health effect is. And you're looking at cardiac events. Heart attacks kill people. I have a news flash. So this discussion was a discussion. And when I caught somebody claiming to be a physicist, duping one of my teammates and colleagues in YouTube fringe science and solar system changes, I really thought I was warning some channels about this phony physicist. And then after I warned them that, hey, this isn't physics, what about the cosmic rays? My concern is that when you promote a dying sun with such little evidence, that the cosmic rays with a lot of evidence are somehow can hurt people. And we even on one of the live telecasts had somebody come in and mention our channel name on a live telecast, and one of those channels shut down their telecast. It was the end right there. The Higher Truth channel has plenty of data on that topic. Bam, gone. So we knew exactly there was something strange about the whole wave of Maunder minimum and lens flare, sun dying, lens flare, artificial sun. So to say that all of two vastly different anomalies somehow represent the exact same object is like showing you an apple and a chair and saying this proves that the vegetables are dying. I mean, it's just absolutely, I can't think of any adjective to describe how incredibly disconnected that is. And so when somebody claiming that stellar cores were going through the sun and somehow we survived and that our sun's dead but we survived, that we have a artificial satellite at a geosynchronous orbit that could never be sustained at such a low altitude. I mean, just look at our geosynchronous orbits. I mean, come on. That's absolutely nuts. And if it threatens your life, okay, I did my due diligence. I tried to inform. I tried to educate. But then these same groups of people and their cronies, I kind of hate that word. Trolls, I hate the word. What do you want to call them? Associates? Come to your videos that you're trying to warn people about and try to confuse you immediately. And some attack you. And sooner or later they start attacking subs and promoting a channel that was putting out obvious disinformation that was dangerous. And we had nothing against the channel because it was on the record. We referred people to some of those channels. Some of those channels made some decent videos. We featured them. We sent them business. Of course, the reciprocation was completely egg in the face. But so, for those of you who are confused between what's a lens anomaly and what's a satellite orbiting at some ridiculously low altitude hiding a dying sun, here's a tutorial about lens anomalies. And if you think the sun is dying, that's a very dangerous notion. And to promote it, push it, and force it upon people, well, you guys come up with your own adjective on that one. But meanwhile, enjoy the tutorial, and please note the name of the individuals associated with this tutorial.
Now, I know there's a million ways to put lens flare in your images in Photoshop, but we're going to show you how to do lens flare in the camera out on location. So what is a lens flare? It's very simple. When a light or the sun hits the camera lens, it gives you streaks of lights across the image and it looks really interesting or it can look really bad. It's interesting, a little bit of flare is really annoying and you want to get rid of it. But a lot of flare can become a creative call and can look very interesting. Let's talk about how we can make creative decisions to create really interesting looking lens flare. First off, we got to get rid of this. It's a lens hood. It's meant to take the lens flare away from the lens, but we don't want that to happen. Like I say, a little bit of lens flare is not a good thing, but a lot can be really creative and interesting. So first off, remove that lens shade so you can let sun or some other light hit the camera lens. Low-tech way is you just simply get a flashlight right next to the camera and shine that flashlight into the lens. It gets more interesting if you shine it through a bottle, anything that'll create it to different shapes. Put that object next to your lens and shine the flashlight through it and it creates a flare onto the lens. Another great way to create a flare is to actually use the person that you're photographing or doing video of. Put the sun or the light directly behind them. Just slowly lean out from behind them and that light creates a great looking flare. The camera can float behind them and the flare just keeps peeking out and creating this great look on the image. That's done all the time. So don't try to hide the light, or if the sun's getting low, don't try to avoid it. Just put it behind the person and just let kind of go behind it when you're doing video, or if you're doing still, just get to the edge of it so it starts to flare out and then take your pictures there. It looks fabulous. So I've got Summer Hughes here and she's going to help me illustrate some of the ways you can create lens flares. Let's get out there and take some lens flares. So I'm just trying to catch the sun coming around that building. So I just want a corner of the sun because it's so bright right now. I'm trying to minimize the value of it by getting a lot of it behind that building, but then just getting it kind of peeking out from behind her hair. It looks fabulous, actually. I'm at f/16, so I'm getting this great star. Now, it's important to understand that your aperture controls the look of the flare to a certain extent. A 2.8 is going to make a very large, blobby kind of flare. It's going to just kind of streak across your image. But as you stop down, the flare becomes more of a star look because it starts to show the blades of the aperture. So I'm really using three principles there. I'm at f/16, which is giving me a very great star off the sun. But I'm also using the building to cut half the sun down so it's not so bright. And I'm putting it behind her head. So I've got her with a strobe in the background, and she's just barely getting to the edge of the frame. But you add that little bit of flare in the background, and it really feels more like the sun's there. It just feels a lot warmer and more inviting. It's kind of very interesting. So we're using the Baja B4 back there. I've got it like on 2.5, so it's dialed almost all the way down. So sometimes I see the round reflector of the strobe, but if I get in the right spot in that highlight back there, it just kind of flares in the foreground. Gives me a nice rim on her hair, looks fabulous. All right, Judy, so just slide that right in, right about there. That's perfect. Hold it right there. Summer, come back just a little bit to your left. There you go, right there. Whoop. Come back a little more to your left, other way, right there. So you can see when you create a flare into the lens, it desaturates the image. It takes a lot of the blacks away, and you can see that in these two images. In the one, it's very contrasty. There's a lot of black. When you flare that into the lens, it opens up all those shadows and the blacks kind of melt away. So it really desaturates the image. And that's part of what makes it, gives it that summery kind of feel. It's just a beautiful kind of open light feel. So if you're in a dark situation, you got a lot of contrast, a flare will open up a lot of the shadows. So here's another way to achieve flare. I basically got the sun coming through the tree because it's so bright right now. I'm trying to minimize it a little bit. The tree gives me a little bit of background that falls way out of focus. And I just kind of lean out and let that flare kind of come around her shoulder. I'll shoot a series of images. But it's just a nice way to create a flare using the tree to break it up and to kind of soften it a little bit. So there you have a look at lens flares. I hope you learned some ways how to create them and kind of what they are. Apply them to the images that you're doing. You'll see it creates really interesting images. You can create them yourself. You can get out and use the sun or other items to be able to create lens flares in the camera. So create some of yours, put them up on our Facebook group. Go to our affiliate links. If you need a lens that has extra lens flare on it, go to Thusline Lenses affiliate links and you can buy them through those. It's just a fabulous, wonderful thing. So we want you to keep those cameras rolling.
And keep on clicking.